Public Schools School Committee meeting of August 16th, 2022. My name is Stephen Catalano. I am the chair. Denise Gibbons, the secretary, is not here tonight. Ms. Briggs will not be here. Mr. Conroy.
Here.
Ms. Roach.
Here.
Mr. Mullaney, the superintendent, is here. Terry Wiggin, the director of school finance and human resources, is here as well. Is there anyone here for open session? No, there isn't. Okay. So I want to announce that this meeting is being recorded and can be viewed on Mondays at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 8 or Verizon Channel 37. All meeting videos are also posted to the Millis Public Schools website under School Committee. All videos are also available on YouTube. All school committee minutes and agendas can be found on the school committee page of the Millis Public School website. Persons wishing to speak during open session must sign in before the meeting starts. Comments are not to exceed 3 minutes in time. Individuals may not name students, staff, or parents. All topics for discussion must be limited to those items listed on the evening's agenda, and all comments must be directed to the chair. The committee may not respond to public comments. It shall be their decision to discuss issues at a later date. All times on the agenda are approximate. So action items. First action item is the consideration to approve the 6:30 school committee meeting minutes.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Roach.
I make a motion to approve the school committee meeting minutes from 6:30:22.
Second.
A motion's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The consideration to waive fees for the Millis Brownies. So we have a Girl Scout troop, and they were looking for a waiver of the facility rental for their fees. The request comes from Lindsay Hemingway. She is one of 4 fellow troop leaders. And so it would run multiple days over the course of the year, right through mid-June of next year. Does anyone have a motion?
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Roach.
I make a motion to waive the facility fees for the Brownie troop.
Millis Girl Scout Troop 64074.
Thank you. Yes, that one.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Before we take a vote, just like all other requests, if they do come into the building when there is no custodian present, just like everyone else, even for people that have their fees waived, they would have to pay for the custodian at the minimum hours, and this would be a non-school related function. So the motion's been moved and seconded. Yes.
Mr. Chair, can we just make sure that the troop leaders know that?
Yes.
Yeah.
We.
Yeah. And yes,
I'm assuming it's after school.
Yeah, it's
anyway.
after school, so
Yeah.
the dates that they have scheduled and the times when we're already covered.
Perfect.
So.
Do we have a waiver form?
No. Generally, there's a no. What is historically, it has just been this reservation form with generally a note written somewhere that says waive fees or an email accompanying this, but there is not a fee waiver form.
So I don't know if we need one, but it almost feels like as soon as someone initiates a fee waiver, almost like the auto response, thank you for your request, just so you know, if you are having functions during times when custodians are not, you will have to incur those costs. We always make it very clear here, but I think that is something as people approach the fee waiver, just to let them know. I don't think we have to go as formal as a form, but at least
But some kind of response.
you let them know. I don't think that's going to stop someone from requesting the waiver, but I think it's important to be upfront with them. A motion been moved and seconded. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next thing we know, the Boy Scouts are coming. Having all sorts. No campfires. If the Boy Scouts come, there'll be no campfires in the building. Okay. Next is one is a considerate. I'm gonna skip a little bit. We're gonna go through all of them. One is the consideration to approve the medication delegation procedure. Mr. Mullaney and I had a conversation today. We don't feel that this is a policy. It's a form that comes from the Department of Public Health, and that we have to each year, that there are going to be people taking medication that will be administered by nurses. We have to, as a district, as well as the Millis Board of Public Health, have to approve. So I'm gonna sign the forms because we don't want to hold that up, and we will see if we need to have an overall medication policy. But right now, we thought it was initially going to be a policy, and it's a 14-page document.
Yeah, it's basically a plan that, and it's a minimum, you have to review it every 2 years, but it can change year to year depending on your student population.
So we are going to authorize by my signature and the Millis Board of Public Health that the Clyde Brown and the Millis Middle and High School will be able to, and they list out the nurses, will be able to administer medication and following all protocols established by the state. So,
Seems the right way to do it.
huh?
So that seems logical.
I also saw the 14-page document, and I'm like, that's going to be a long read. There was a lot of stuff that we were not going to be able to pronounce, or at least I
Oh,
wasn't.
yeah, this,
So
Yeah, and
that's,
that's mostly for like inhalers and EpiPens and things
Yeah.
like that.
let's do the consideration to approve vape detectors for the middle school, high school.
Okay.
Do you have something on this, Mr. Mullaney?
Yes, and maybe Mr. Wigan might like to join us. So you may recall in the spring, the town meeting approved use of the marijuana impact funds up to $21,000 for purchase of vape detectors for this building, the middle high school building. That original quote we got from a vendor, soon after we got the quote, and the company visited our building, we never heard from them again. They ghosted us.
They were like smoke in the wind.
Well, I guess so.
God, he couldn't resist that one.
And so Mr. Ardicki went out and found some other vendors who were willing to come in and check out our facility and price it out for us. And the vendor that had the most interest in providing us with a quote and provided us with the lowest quote was this Minutemen Security Technologies. Like many things, by the time they came in, their quote was a bit higher than what was originally approved with the marijuana impact funds. And their quote for the 9 bathrooms that students use in this building, not including the locker room facilities, was $27,672. So, more than $6,000 above what we were granted in marijuana impact funds. And he also had them quote for the locker rooms, which would be an additional $7,800. And we believe that using the Comprehensive School Health Services grant that is actually part of all this, and some high school gift funds, that we could have enough money to pay for the 9 bathrooms in the $27,000 quote, and also the locker rooms in the $7,800 quote. We could do it all at once if given approval. Mr. Wigan, anything to add on that?
No, I think you summarized it nicely. I mean, I think, if we were to stretch a little bit, particularly a combination of the health grant and possibly some gift funds, we could do the other phase that we looked into, which was the locker room. So we could do everything.
With grant money that we
with
have.
grant money and probably some gift fund money. We are sitting on a fair amount of gift fund money for both the middle and high school. So it would be fair to dip into both to share the burden.
How much, so we get 21, what's the total cost? 20, yeah, because it's not clear.
Is it the 25,914 and the 7,824?
Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's a
No,
yearly
it-
cost.
No,
Yeah,
then
it's
there's a cost.
27,672, so
The yearly
9,
cost is just, you're
4,
gonna budget for that next year.
5.
Sure.
So it'd be 35,496, right, with the,
So you're saying there's room in the gift fund, in the health,
In the health grant to do everything if you chose to do it,
everything,
everything.
including the locker rooms?
Including locker rooms.
But what's your recommendation?
my recommendation would be to do it all if we
Right,
can.
because if you leave a couple out, that's where everyone's going.
The vapors will know which areas don't have it.
So how do these
Go
things
on.
work? Where does the alarm go off?
So it's a sensor that's in the restroom, and there's a quote here, they're pretty impressive.
I think it picks up the wireless network, does it not?
Yeah, and it runs through our wireless network, and it's a multi-sensor capable of detecting vape, smoke, THC, and other abnormalities like gunshots and shouting in areas that a camera cannot be placed.
Shouting?
I guess very
Maybe the
loud
vibrations
shouting,
or
I guess.
something?
I don't know about that,
Steve can't use our
but
facilities
we
anymore.
can test that.
No, but
part
so
out.
where does it ring? Where does it
So,
ring
oh,
into?
it's something that would go to
Like a text
a
message or
phone.
something?
Yeah, like it would
You'll get
buzz.
an alert.
Right, there's certain people that would have, like
We'd
the
identify
principals
who
would
to
have
alert.
it, the director of student affairs, it would ping
We're gonna
their
have a vape
phones.
patrol.
So is it like a silent alarm?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
So the kids aren't going to
So
have the alarm go off and be
Right,
out.
so, and, you know, if something happens and the person's gone, by the time the administrator gets there, at the very least, you can check the cameras outside the bathroom and see who's been in the area.
will there be discipline if someone is caught vaping in a bathroom?
Yes, yes, progressive discipline. And, you know, one of the things we're also doing in the middle and high school is I Decide, which is a educational program. So, you know, for students, we would offer them an opportunity to get education in lieu of, you know, a suspension or something like that. So we think it's a great opportunity to identify, you know, kids that may be having trouble with, you know, addicted to vape, and get those kids educated, as well as keep the bathrooms in a proper state for the kids that don't vape who want to use them.
And we actually have funding for that through a separate grant.
That's a good approach.
Yep.
Give them some education
Yeah.
first.
Yep.
Yeah, because I want to make sure if we're going to spend the money, even though the town gave us the money, if we're going to spend the money, let's make it worth it. Our money's tight this year, so.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Conroy,
I make a motion that we approve the purchase of the Minuteman Halo vape detectors for all bathrooms located in the memo, including the boys and girls locker room, to be funded through the funds appropriated at town meeting, as well as existing grant and gift fund balances.
Second.
the motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. I would
Yes.
make an observation that during the spring baseball season, I had the opportunity, escorted by a player, to visit one of the locker rooms. They certainly need more than vape detectors. They are in some tough shape. Maybe we can start to think about what we can do to clean up, improve, do something with the facility. I mean, I didn't expect a lot, but I was very surprised by what I saw. Maybe it was just the end of the school year and there was clutter everywhere, but it didn't look like it was a really usable facility.
No, I believe it's been in that condition for a while. And I think there are some things we certainly can do. I would say that because you're starting to enter, or we are entered actually, into the feasibility study portion of a potential renovation and addition down the road, we do have to be a little bit cautious about a wholesale investment into a segment of the building that we might turn around and revamp. as
How
part
about
of
a
the
think we can
sto- how about a
definitely clean it
storage?
up.
How about a storage pod, real cheap, and we
It can
remove
be
some of the
deep
clutter?
cleaned too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I-
We can
I-
do a
Let's be-
deep clean and we
high
could
school
certainly
boys
store
are
clutter.
not the cleanest.
I-
Like,
I understand.
just saying.
I understand what you're saying. I'm not looking at construction.
Right.
I'm looking at a little bit of cleaning.
No, cleaning and cleaning
Organizing.
clutter, cleaning clutter can,
Right.
both can certainly happen.
That's just an observation.
Yep.
Okay, thank you for that. Last on the action items is the consideration to approve 2 new RBT positions. Mr. Mullaney.
So, and we also have the Director of Student Support Services, Neely Urquhart, here with us. And essentially, the pilgrimage to Millis continues. We had recently had a move-in from another district who came to us with an IEP that required RBT services. And we also have Ms. Django, because these are students moving into Clyde Brown. And then we had a student who moved from one program to another within the Clyde Brown school. And the number of RBTs in the program the student was moving from needs to remain the same, but this student needs RBT services, so that.
What does that
could-
mean, moving, what
So-
does that mean?
So, it's basically like a kid moving from Foundations 1 to Foundations 2.
So one thing, it says RBT 1.0. Are you
Oh,
looking
that's
for
a, yeah, that's a, you got an old memo there.
I hope we're not treating the people who are on Google different than the people who
I'll give
require
you-
hard copies.
No, it's the same one.
Same one?
Yeah.
So you're looking
Oh,
for 2?
Yeah, 2 at 1.0. I mean, it says it up there, but it
Oh,
didn't-
yeah, it says it up the
Okay,
top.
Yeah,
that's what I
and-
caught up.
Yeah, but the
Yeah.
original, yeah.
Okay.
The memo got updated.
So what's the cost for these?
The cost is 67, let me just call that up.
Individuals? Meaning what is per,
Oh, per, right, let me just call this up, because the memo
Mr.
in the
Chair.
packet is.
Ms. Roach?
These RBTs, this is required of us, right? These additional are
Yes.
required?
Yes, they're
Okay.
part of, they're mandated with the students.
So-
IEP.
Go ahead, Mr. Conroy.
Currently, the IEPs call for RBT services. So I'm not confident in our ability to
To
hire
hire them.
certified RBTs. And I personally think that posting as restrictive RBT positions is a risk that, quite frankly, on August 16th, we can't afford, because we are already way behind in hiring for a school year that starts in 2 weeks. So I absolutely, the IEPs call for RBT hours. So what happens in 2 weeks when we can't find 2 plus the 3 that we already have out there, and we have no bodies to work with these kids?
So we need 5
So,
RBTs?
Yeah, so,
Five.
so Neely and Ken, if you guys want to address what the steps are
So what's important is, you know, the IEPs call for RBTs, right? So at the IEP meetings, through the process, it was determined that that's what the student required. In order to move forward to give the student what they need, we have to post for what they need, which is what's on the service delivery grid. If in fact we cannot find RBTs, so I would suggest, they've been posted for 6 days. I would suggest probably until Friday, we see how many people apply. We've been monitoring that.
Has anyone applied?
Yes. We've had one application. Tana, what do you-
5 positions, or,
Well,
I know there's 3
three,
right now,
three,
but
yeah.
5
We're gonna
positions.
be asking for 2
I did have an idea. I did review it with Bob as well as Elysia St. Florian, our attorney. Next thought is you have RBTs, this is sort of the highest level. They're monitored by the BCBA. Next level, I'm not going to say down because they still carry the same level of understanding of the foundations of ABA, is an applied behavioral analyst, okay? They are not overseen by the BCBA though. My suggestion would be to then post for ABAs if we cannot find RBTs.
How much, what's the cost of them?
Well,
Just give me a round number, I know it depends on stuff. Do we have them in our grid in the contract now?
we do not. And again, it would be my suggestion because it's somebody who carries the same level of understanding and much of the same training, but they don't have the same level of competencies that they have to do and oversight by the BCBA on an annual basis. Okay, so is it possible we would have more success finding ABAs? Potentially. However, people are not out there right now. So then if we cannot, I would suggest posting those for a week. And again, I know it feels like you're chipping away and you may potentially find nothing, but we have to abide what the students require. Okay, so what we're saying with RBTs or ABAs is that a student requires somebody with an understanding of behavior or behavioral intervention, or the application of that. If we can't find those staff, at that point, that's the point that we want to continue to have them run coordinated approach with the families. We want to continue to keep them here, and that's when we have to think about always safety first, and then thinking, can we find paras?
I understand what the IEP stands. I don't, and we can ask our lawyer, I don't think we'd be violating the law if we modified the job postings that we have right now and the initial one, or the 2 additional if they get funded, to say RBT preferred.
So-
We're giving ourselves the option, because if we have to wait, it's August 16th, if we have to wait a week to then post for paras, it's a week before school, and then we may end up with no one. And
And-
that's much worse than posting RBT preferred.
And again, that's why they were posted. We spoke with Elysia. I gave her my proposal. She agreed with that proposal. But again, we have to be mindful of what we have in the IEPs. I can't not post for something that isn't an IEP.
No, I understand that. Can we post them concurrently, though? Like, what's stopping us from
Yeah,
posting
I don't-
6
don't-
ABAs?
I think as
Elysia
long as
said-
we had something that was stating that it could be sort of either, you know, that we're financially not going to end up in this situation where we're going to end up with potentially, we would just want to have something stated somewhere. We're not going to end up with 5 RBTs and 5 ABAs and we have 10
Yeah,
staff.
no,
Right.
yeah,
That would
but
be a good
obviously
problem
if
to
you,
have.
yeah, no kidding, right? But if you get, 3 ABAs apply and 3 RBTs, obviously you're going to choose the RBTs over the ABAs, but at least you have a candidate pool, right?
No, absolutely.
I want to go back to Elysia with, we can have a vote and then have the conversation, can we modify to say RBT preferred? I'd be shocked if that's breaking the law. We're saying,
Or adding
Could we
another job
just,
posting.
like Carrie said, could we just do concurrently, just
are we going to have a better
para
shot at getting,
positions?
what are they called?
ABAs.
Are we going to have a better
ABAs.
shot at getting ABAs or paras?
Honestly, I can't tell you that right now because nobody is out there.
So why don't we stack the deck and post for both?
modify what we have. The two new ones say RBT preferred. Because we're in a position where I'm less worried about what a posting says and that we don't have a body on the first day of school.
Which-
That's a much
Like
worse
this,
scenario.
this multi-step, right, like this multi-step, you're talking about.
3
today's-
weeks.
Right,
Yeah,
like
it's
you're
not
talking
even
about
3 weeks,
August
yeah.
19th, leaving it in there, then posting for an ABA till the 26th. First day of school is the 31st.
Yeah, we
I mean, I know
may.
preschool may not start till,
Right,
sometimes
the
they don't.
6th, yeah.
But anybody who's
Right.
looking for a job for a school to
Is
start in,
looking now.
is already been looking for, so I just think that's too many steps for too long a period to get to a point where we have to potentially just post for a paraprofessional because that's, we've got no other options. Like,
If possible, I would like to speak to Elysia, because, I want to make sure that we are doing everything correctly.
I mean, I think we could just tomorrow post for paras, just in the interim,
I mean, you need pairs
just to
too,
get
right?
names.
So
Yeah,
we-
and-
We do have a para posting ready to go for some information that I received today, that on that posting, I prefer to have applied behavioral analysis as part of my preferred qualifications in a para, just because it makes them more versatile. So I already have a posting
For
to
these two positions?
fill
for
For the
a
parent, for a parent.
resignation that I received today, but I already have that language in there for that posting, once it's approved.
Okay.
so we're posting a CFB paraprofessional for a resignation that happened today.
Yes.
So, Mr. Wigan, I know you're over there on the side. The two positions, the two vacant positions, they're in the operating budget now?
Yes.
Are they vacant now? Explain to me, because I know there was some email traffic, and I was trying to do two things at once, and I got a little confused. So, help me, where's the funding for these two?
Well, in other words, we had budgeted for these positions. There
Were these
bodies-
above and beyond?
No, these were positions. So there's two levels of positions here. There's the two new positions we've been talking about. And then there are bodies we had budgeted for.
That are just vacant.
They're just vacant.
Those are the 3.
Right, and we had budgeted for those bodies.
Yep.
Were they filled on the last day of school?
No,
No.
Those are new positions.
no, we had them
No.
last year. We had those are bodies we had last year.
If,
Okay.
if you remember
Just
our
give me-
our last meeting, we talked about open positions that we had.
I know, there's been a lot of conversation.
I know.
I'm sorry, bear with me.
That's okay.
On 6/30, last year's budget, those three positions were there.
Correct.
And now they are vacant, besides what just happened now with the resignation today. How are these three that we posted a week ago, how are they vacant?
Well, someone would have to help me out with what was posted a week ago, because I was on
There
vacation.
were three RBTs.
Right. So again, those were vacancies of positions that existed, am I correct?
Tana looks like she has the
Yeah,
answer. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Go ahead.
We had paras serving in RBT positions who had not received their certification yet, so they have had to move into non-RBT para positions.
Did we have open?
Open.
To
Did we
fill-
have
Open
open
para
fill the-
positions?
We had a resignation of a para, we had a transfer of a para, and we had two transfers and a resignation of a para. So that opened up the movement of the people who were serving in RBT to move them into a general para position.
Those aren't vacant, that's not vacancy. That's moving them from one group to another group. That's not a vacancy. Two people that didn't have a certification, that's, a
But that
vacancy is someone
That-
goes out the door.
So
Well, an opening for that position? I mean, it's, the
Where'd the extra
RBT
money come
position.
from?
There is
There's no
There
extra
is no
money.
extra
The
money.
RBT position was filled. The person moved to a para position
That needed to be
that was
filled.
open.
So now this one's open.
Now there's an
How many
RBT
open
position.
para positions do we have at the end of school?
We had some resignations over the
Yeah,
summer.
3.
We had,
No, not over the summer at the end of school. There was a few.
I'm following this. I'm just trying to be clear that we have an FT, and this is why I asked you for something very late. I don't know if you have it, but we're gonna, at some point, this committee is gonna have in front of it an Excel spreadsheet with every single position, from the part-time custodian to the superintendent and everyone in between, with names, classrooms, assignments, so we can have a conversation about FTEs and what it is. I get what you're saying, but when you tell me they were vacant last year, how long were they vacant for? And what did we do with that salary savings? Meaning, did you identify that at the end of the fiscal year as salary savings? Because if we didn't have salary savings, they weren't vacant. They may have been on the sheet, but we didn't have them budgeted.
Well, I certainly can answer what happened with salary savings, because we had tuitions that we needed to address last year. Some
I'm
of
saying
the salary savings
but
went
did
to
these,
those.
did these vacant positions go into salary savings? I know I'm asking you a question that you don't have the answer to, but do you understand? I'm looking at an FTE count, not certification or what their assignment was. When I see vacancies, I'm going to just use a number. Our FTE count is 250. And if we have 3 vacancies, at the end of the school year, our FTE count would have been 247. I'm oversimplifying it because I'm an oversimplifying. That would be a vacancy for me. Savings, cost savings, someone doesn't get their bachelor's plus 15 or whatever, their master's plus 15, that's a savings. There's an FTE count. So maybe we have to calibrate when we talk about vacancies.
Right,
A
because
vacancy is based on a body.
the FTEs have remained the same.
Right.
So I'm concerned about calling that a vacancy. There was a position that was not filled, one position wasn't filled, so we had to put them over, but the FTEs, we didn't have 3 vacancies. We have 3 positions that we want to fill with RBTs, correct? And an additional 2.
So you're defining a vacancy as a position we're not filling?
I'm defining a vacancy as there's no one in that position at all, meaning,
But it's still an open position.
Right now, there's no one in that position.
But it's still
but
still
our
an
FTE is
FT
the same.
Yeah,
The
but
FTE is
it's
the
an
same.
open position, or it's a position that's vacant at the time,
So,
but they're
if
filling
we're
it.
paying for these for cost savings, there is no cost savings because we haven't lost an FTE. Although you're
We're
now
not
telling
saying
me
that we're paying it with cost savings.
No.
it's out of the operating budget.
They're
No, that's-
budgeted. They're budgeted.
Yeah, that was an early
positions.
early
Okay,
memo.
all right, you don't need to pull it up.
So-
Terry, what am I missing here?
Well, so.
And if you can't follow my questions, that's perfectly acceptable.
Well, I think I can simplify it, but maybe not. So let's say we have 3 openings, okay? We have 3 vacancies, so we had 10. And 3 of them are open, okay? And 2 of them, okay, actually, let's simplify it even more. 1 of them requires an RBT, 2 of them do not. One of the people currently in one of those non-RBT positions, okay, has RBT certification. So we move that person over to the RBT slot, okay? We've filled that position, but we still have an opening, because we just created an opening with the transfer. It's still a budgeted position. We've just moved a body, that's all we
Into
do
a
is move
vacancy.
a body.
Right. And that creates.
No, we're just talking about in hypothetical what.
I see a vacancy as, so we had budget for how many vacancies were we running last year? Or they became vacancies on 7/1.
We
Right.
had
There
budgeted,
was-
we had budgeted for all of the positions. We had vacancies, and as far as what we had actually on June 30th, I'd have to go back and try to figure that out, but,
Yeah, there was one position in the middle school
Yeah.
that at the end of the year was vacant. It was
Meaning
budgeted.
the person
so we
walked out
had-
the door.
Right, so we had some savings with that, some salary
That's
savings
one out
with
of the
that.
three.
The other person was
July.
a summer resignation, and the third person moved to the pre-K aid position, para position that was created when we added the pre-K class and the para position in June. So when that person moved into that role, that created an opening.
So you're just moving that. So
Right,
now,
so it's like a
now
chain.
this one's full, but
So
this
the
one's
three
open.
Right.
roles, so the three that are posted are the historical vacant middle school position,
Yes.
the preschool para position that we approved in June as new,
That's new, that wasn't.
and a
last
But that's not
CFB
the
resignation from earlier this summer. Those three positions had people moved into them, creating roles for which 3 people were serving in RBT roles, one of which was certified, 2 of which were not certified. Those 3 people were moved. We're now reclassifying, or what that posting did, is reclassified from what was originally posted and hired as paraprofessionals, because we've never posted RBT strict positions before. And they've been repurposed to RBT positions. And that's what's out there right now. And my question is, given we've known the middle school vacancy or repurposing, that was vacant at the end of the year. The preschool position we posted in June. And then at some point earlier this summer, the first CFB. So given the difficulty in hiring paraprofessionals, which we've heard all summer is how difficult this is, why on August 11th were these positions posted?
Well, we posted for the summer positions and didn't have much luck. And so, as we're getting ready for the school year, that's.
But we had we had a vacant middle school position, we had a preschool that we approved in June.
Right.
That we either knew we were going to move an internal person in, so we didn't post it. Or as soon as we did and we knew we were going to get an internal person, we should have posted another CFB paraprofessional, and we should have posted it as an RBT right then and there to give us at least a fighting chance of getting somebody. So we sat on it all summer. And now we're saying we have to post as RBTs, even though it's highly likely we're not going to get any.
Right. Just as it was unlikely that we didn't get the RBTs we needed for the summer program.
So why are we going to go through a 3-week exercise to come up with no people when we know that the end game is going to be we're going to have to post for paraprofessionals and hope families agree?
If we do go to if we go to the legal counsel for review, I want the specific question to be, can we modify the existing 3 postings to say RBT preferred? That's the specific question. And then these 2, you said you want to make them ABAs.
That was
Oh,
part of the
but
discussion.
preferred.
That
Preferred.
would-
Maybe we should say
Preferred.
ABA preferred. Maybe we have 3, I don't think we're going to get 5 RBT.
I've got to be honest with you guys. I've got to abide by the law. I've got to abide by service delivery agreement.
That's why we're saying to
We-
look
You
at.
know what I mean? So I think I don't want to, it's not that I don't want to move forward with this. I think this is a very important conversation to have right now. It's just that you have to understand that we have to think, this is a student-centered conversation, correct? So
Mr.
if we
Chair.
could simultaneously do
Ms. Roach.
something.
Yeah,
I-
simultaneously do something.
I completely understand. I think the frustration on this side is that we've known that these were open positions for 3 months, and now we're just posting. I think that's where you're getting a little bit of the frustration, is that we're way behind the 8 ball. And this is important because it's, student-centered, services that we have to provide. So I think that's where I think that's a little where the frustration is a little bit right now. But so, here we are a couple weeks before school. So what can we do to kind of turn this around where it gives us the best chance to find the most qualified people that fulfills the needs that we have to. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If we're able to by law post concurrent jobs or tweak a word, that'll give us a little bit better chance
Yep.
to getting these positions filled.
Absolutely. So, what I would say is, in order to assist the kids in the way that they need to be assisted, the ABA piece might give us another fighting chance.
Sure.
For it. No guarantees, of course. Again, the paraprofessional piece, that paraprofessionals do not have the qualifications required.
So, Mr. Chair, can I ask one more question? So we're, fast forward a few weeks and say we don't have a few, or maybe worst case, we haven't filled any of these. What do we do then? So, I think we're at the point where we need to have contingency plans too. So if we're, fast forward a few weeks and we're unfortunately not able to find somebody, what's the plan?
So, something that all of the principals and I have discussed, but I can speak specifically to CFB, is what we're going to have to do is talk about within how we're going to create a level of movement in order to satisfy the service delivery grids with the existing paraprofessionals. Will that be easy? We did have a resignation today at CFB, so that makes things a little more difficult. And if there were further resignations at CFB, that would make things even more difficult.
So I understand where you're coming from on the posting. I sense your reluctance. So I will send an email to Alicia. I'll copy you and the superintendent. I will ask the question that I would like answered. It's not you.
No, I understand this isn't personal. This is about the
So
students, right?
it's not personal, but I'm
what
going to
I-
ask the question.
Please do.
Yeah. I think the simplest thing is just to run concurrent postings.
Yeah,
We don't have to
I'm not,
hire someone just because they apply.
I mean,
Right.
typically, we don't
Right.
consult, it's rare that we consult any attorney on any posting. I think it's quite simple in the sense that, first off, any postings that have been out there for the minimum time for the collective bargaining agreement, you basically now are in a situation it's basically, you get a candidate in, you want to hire them, you can hire them. You don't need to wait any additional days. As far as revising postings that are out there, changing postings in such a way that you want to, you could advertise in such a way that you could say, ABA preferred, RBT desired.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mr. Wigan, just to be clear, we're engaging with the attorney because we have a compliance issue.
I understand,
That's
but
why,
I don't think.
I'm not just saying out of the blue, let's go to the attorneys. We're already engaging
Okay.
because we have a compliance issue around these positions.
Okay,
And just to be clear, because the community is watching, we have been forthright with families. Families are aware of what is going on. They're aware of what was going on this summer. They're aware of compliance issues in the last school year, and they will continue to be aware, and I will continue to communicate.
Okay.
Okay.
So I would take a motion, and feel free to suggest how it's posted in your motion, and then we can go forward on this.
Can I ask one other just question? to
Directly
clarify?
related to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Directly, no, actually, it's not related to these RBT.
Okay.
Because, no, it's not related directly to these positions. It's related to comments that have been made in this discussion about a new position that opened. So we can take this motion.
What-
and
I think
I'll-
Let's take
Employee
this
back
motion
yet.
for this. Yeah,
Yeah.
let's, we
It's
can,
just a clarifying question, because I've heard something stated multiple times that just want to.
We are going to have an executive
We have an
session.
executive session.
We're going to have an executive, maybe we
Mr.
should take it up
Chair.
in executive session. Ms. Roach,
I make a motion to approve the 2 new RBT preferred positions. Doesn't matter what school, right?
no, it's for
As-
Clyde Brown.
Yeah.
Clyde Brown.
For Clyde Brown.
It doesn't, just say, just positions.
Just,
Yeah.
Because they're
yeah.
district
Yeah.
positions.
Yes.
RBT preferred.
RBT
Preferred.
preferred, do we want to say
So would-
ABA
so-
desired,
So what,
ABA,
so,
one second, Mark.
Yeah.
ABA desired, RBT preferred?
Well, that's your advertisement. Okay, I believe, again, for compliance, you're,
RBT
We're looking
positions.
for the
You get
RBT
RBTs.
for the, because
Okay.
it complies with
RBT.
the.
I'm just gonna say RBT
IEP.
Fair enough,
Positions.
that's right.
So consider, I make a motion to approve the 2 new RBT positions for the district.
second.
A motion's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Did I say it right?
Yes.
Are you an aye?
Yeah.
Yes? Or are you no? Okay, yes. Motion carries.
Thank you.
It's been a long summer. There's a lot going on. It's not over. We got to get through this because we're just as concerned about students and just as concerned about compliance as you. So we will get through this. I think we're, at this point, getting into some semantical conversations, but we can figure this out. I'm just concerned on the clock. It is August 16th.
And I would say, based on what happened this summer trying to get RBTs, it is not unlikely that we might start the year without staff.
And I've also, beyond the postings, I've also reached out to 2 agencies. Response from agencies is not great because,
But we're trying.
but we're
Yeah,
trying.
exactly.
So just the way you said to your point, I would put a para posting, I'd put an ABA posting, I'd put an RBT.
Put all of
Put as
them out.
many postings out as possible. We're not bound by,
Right.
we're not bound by
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
As long as we have the highest at RBT, we're giving
Post for them
ourselves a
all.
little bit of
Yeah.
a fighting chance with the ABA and then at a bare minimum para, because
Who maybe we can train.
having no RBT is one thing, but having no para, it's dramatically worse, based on the conversation we had with the attorney, that if we're making progress regardless of certification, and the family is comfortable, we're in the right direction. I'm just trying to give us a fighting shot.
we will expand our search field tomorrow, and Susan and I can work on that, and that will help us, well, we hope it will help as well.
Put as many postings as you need.
Because these people just don't exist.
We're gonna try.
People are.
We have to try.
And
Yeah,
refresh
we
the
will
posting
try.
like
Yeah.
every week so
Yeah, and
it
it's,
pops back up.
This is not a problem that's exclusive to Millis.
Oh, I
would
know.
also
Not at all.
say.
Yeah.
But even getting a paraprofessional, period, is not,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, you
So
can
what-
make $20 an hour at Amazon.
not only that, every district in the state has multiple openings.
Mhm.
Boston's got 1,000 jobs they're trying to fill. People have been looking, they found one.
All right, I think that is our action items. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Chair report, very quickly. The MSBA, we had a subcommittee meeting the other day to plan out deliverables for the summer. The next major piece is Ms. Gibbons and possibly myself, if I can get from negotiations, are going to the Board of Selectmen to talk about voting members for the school building committee. That's a Board of Selectmen decision. Right now, the proposal is to have, it's the permanent building committee is our voting members, and then we're proposing 2 school committee members be voting members on the school building committee. The chair of the permanent building committee didn't have a problem with that, but he did say to Ms. Gibbons that it was not his decision, and that's why she is going to the Board of Selectmen on Monday. I think that was the next big hurdle, was the formation of the school
The school
building
building
committee. There were
committee.
some compliance letters.
Right, the enrollment certification,
Enrollment
and those are
certification,
due at
we're-
the end of September, and we're working on
The
those
first
currently.
big hurdle is the school building committee, and we're in process, so that's it.
Right.
And
I
then
think that's
we'll
due
talk
the
about-
29th
Yeah,
of
and
August.
We'll talk about policies another. Mr. Mulaney, do you have anything in your superintendent's report?
Just, this kind of new business. Yesterday, the DESE and the DPH released guidance on the start of the 2022-2023 school year, COVID-related. And essentially, we're beginning 22-23 the way we ended 21-22. No requirement or recommendation for mask wearing, although anyone who wishes to continue to mask may do so. There's no recommendation for COVID testing of asymptomatic individuals, no recommendation for contact tracing, and no recommendation for test and stay. All individuals are encouraged to stay up to date with their vaccinations. Symptomatic individuals who are close contacts may continue to be in school but should mask for 10 days from exposure. And it is recommended but not required that they self-test on day 6. Individuals who test positive should isolate for 5 days, and if asymptomatic or symptoms are improving, they can return on day 6 and mask from day 6 to 10. Symptomatic individuals who test negative immediately, like if the nurse does a test with them and they test negative, they can stay in school but should be masked. And the DPH recommends another self-test 48 hours, within 48 hours of the first negative test. In kind of a reversal from where we were, a couple years ago, the rapid antigen test is the preferred test to the PCR test now because of the faster result, and because the number of people who are vaccinated, the number of people who have antibodies because they've had COVID, makes the less sensitive rapid antigen tests the preferred method. And the DESE and DPH emphasize that all schools and local boards of health must continue to work together if there are outbreaks in a community.
Got it.
Anything else, sir?
That is all. We have a schedule for potential dates for school committee meetings this year that it doesn't have to be voted on or anything, but the committee can look at that.
Yeah, I want to reach out to Denise and Robin and Carrie and see, try to identify any all business trips or travel, just to make sure we can somehow sync up and make sure we can, at a minimum, get a quorum here, if not get all 5. So I'll talk about that over the next week or so, and we'll have something. Let's plan. What's the next Tuesday? Not
The 30th.
The 30th, which is the night before school?
Night before school
starts.
starts.
Is that okay for you?
Yeah.
Terry, is that
that's
okay for
fine.
you?
Yeah.
You gotta get home early.
And I don't know if you want to do the school tour on that at that time, or would you prefer to have the kids in the school before we do the school tour?
I don't even know if a tour is necessary. Let's just do a meeting, and then we can, if there's a desire to do the school
Sure.
tour, we can do a school tour.
There haven't been any major
Yeah.
projects.
No,
Unless there's something
nothing major. No. I have to say that the crew has been working really hard. The buildings
It's
are
looking
in
clean.
good shape, and if we needed to start,
Yeah, so let's,
next week, we could do it.
we'll talk
Forego
about a
that.
tour at another day,
Okay.
unless there's nothing significant.
Yep.
So that's it for the agenda. The only, we do go into executive session, so I would,
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Roach,
I make a motion that we adjourn from open session to executive session, not to return to open session.
Almost took you off.
motion been moved
Second.
and seconded. All in favor? It's a
It's a
roll
roll
call
call.
vote. Ms. Roach?
Yes.
Mr. Conroy?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Meeting adjourned. See you on 30th. We're going into executive session.